Mr. Richmond, would you please remove your hat in the courtroom?
Like I said earlier, Your Honor, I'd prefer for spiritual reasons not to.
Not cultural reasons.
Cultural are spiritual reasons, are they not? Or spiritual are cultural.
Would you describe that to me further?
It's to my it's to my understanding, sir, that many people do not need to remove their hat.
I'm asking about your situation. Explain it to me.
Yes, I believe mine is similar because spiritually, I believe I lose power when I expose my head fully. So I'd prefer not to remove my hat because I feel like I need power in here.
Okay. I'm going to order you one more time. I do not find that persuasive. In fact, I find it manipulative. I'm going to order you one more time to remove your hat out of respect for the court as I order anybody else so as not to treat you differently. I do not find your reasons to be persuasive. I'm going to order you to do it. And I just wanted to let you know that failure to comply, I will find you in direct contempt of court. Do you understand that?
As long as you understand, you're asking me to yield my power spiritually in a literal sense. This is what you're doing. This is what you've done last time. This is what you guys always do. And, I think that's really...
I don't understand your answer. I'm ordering you to remove it again with you understanding the consequences. Do you understand the consequences of failure to remove your hat?
Can you please explain them?
Yes, I will hold you in direct contempt of court, finding that after repeated warnings, you failed to comply with the court's order and that it undermines the dignity and the authority of this court. And specifically, I don't find your reason to be persuasive. Do you understand?
Not fully. So do I get to wear my hat next time? That's what I'm trying to understand.
I'm talking about this time. We'll worry about next time. Do you understand that if you fail to comply, I will hold you in direct contempt?
So I'm going to be held for 24 hours while it's cold out?
I have no idea what the consequences are going to be. You will be sentenced on direct contempt, and I'll allow you to make any statements you want in mitigation. I'll hear from your attorney as well, and then I'll decide. You may not go into custody at all, or you may, or there may be some other consequence.
Okay.
What is your response to my final order to remove your hat?
Sir, I really insist on this, and I feel really strongly spiritually about it, and it's time for me to take the consequences of that.
The court has now find that the defendant has been warned multiple times to remove his hat. He's been given sufficient notice and given a direct order, in fact, to remove his hat.
To all units, proceed to your post assignments. All units, proceed to your post assignments.
That's the sound of the police. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the beast.
Yeah, baby, it's episode 36 of Probable Cause on June 23rd, 2026. The FBI whistleblower, Greg Dillon, is with me, and I am so happy to see you, Greg, and I hope that you don't think I'm undermining the dignity of this podcast by wearing a hat. And I hope you will not hold me in contempt.
I may find you in direct contempt. I'm not quite sure what direct contempt would be, but direct contempt.
Yeah, I noticed that too. He was giving some unusual emphasis to that word, direct contempt. Yeah. I think maybe that was his way of saying it was intentional. I don't know. He did say intentional at a later point. Anyway,
but he always used direct before he said contempt, which I found unusual.
I found a lot unusual about that, and I have a lot to say. And I think you believe I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, but we'll get to that. Speaking of what could have been a mountain, you won a $1.5 million settlement in 1999, I believe, after you filed suit against the Connecticut state attorney. When did the money actually hit your bank? I don't know how long it takes. That same year or the following year or what?
Oh, no, it was quite quickly after the went on the record, yes.
So it was in 1999?
No, I think it was 1995.
Really? I'm seeing things online that say 1999.
That Okay. Well, I'm going to defer to you on that, but I tend to think it was a little bit earlier than that, but I will look into it. My memory fades as time goes by.
I would normally defer to you since it was your lawsuit, but all right. Well, the reason is I've got a special calculator here, and that's why I need to know. I need to know the year. So whatever year it was, let's say it was 1999. How much gold and silver did you buy at that time?
Unfortunately, zero.
Zero, as in Zippo, nada, nothing.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Zilch.
Wow, that could have been a mistake. Well, let's put it into
in light of what ended up happening with my investments not that long after.
And are you talking about how you squandered all the money on pizza and hookers? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're referring to as investments?
Why would you say squandered when something like that?
I'm sorry. I'm not the most articulate.
Like it was wasted.
All right. Well, all right. Let's say it was 1999, and let's go to the special calculator. What would that be worth today if Greg had purchased, let's say, $10,000 worth of gold in 1999? What would that be worth today? Let's put it into the special calculator. Calculating. What will it be? $1 million. Who would have thought it would be such a round figure?
Who would have thought it would be such a large figure?
Well, that too. So, Greg, I know that you're riddled with regret. You're more or less on a windowsill right now, thinking about jumping off.
Racked with guilt.
To the audience, I want to say, don't be like Greg. Don't live your life in regret. This is your opportunity. Look at gold and silver as a long-term investment. The price has been down lately, so this is the ideal time. So check it out at probablecause.gold. That's probablecause.gold. That's our beloved sponsor. Give them a call. They'll give you all kinds of information. They won't pressure you. Look into it, or else you'll turn out like Greg. Look at him. That's obviously the face of despair, regret, and a deep and irreversible depression.
Jeff, it calls to mind that old saying, the best time to have planted a tree was 30 years ago. The second best time is today.
Oh, that is a great saying. Who said that originally?
I have no idea.
Then I will take credit.
I steal those sayings left and right. I have no idea who the author is.
All right. Well, whatever year it was, I'm going to say it's 1999 because that's what the internet says.
All right.
Here is a photo of Greg when he had a little bit of hair, and his attorney, the woman to his right, she had hair also.
As did
and the man to his left is a very famous person. I don't have anybody here who I can ask to guess. You know who it is. How about the audience? You want to take a guess who that was or is? He's still alive.
Yes.
Who it was or who it is?
Who it is? Yeah.
Anybody want to take a guess? That is a very famous person, and he testified. Did he actually testify, or he was prepared to, and then
prepared to, but never needed to go on the stand? Although he did give a statement outside on the courthouse steps that was very gracious and well said.
All right. And do you think that the reason he never testified and they settled, I guess, was because they saw he was going to testify?
Absolutely, that was the reason. Yes, they knew the publicity was coming.
Right. All right. Well, nobody's making any guess. So the time has come for me to end this ridiculous game. That is the legendary New York police detective, I believe was his rank.
Yep.
Frank Serpico. You may have seen the movie Serpico, starring Al Pacino.
Interestingly enough, Jeff, that you brought that up, he got his gold shield while he was in the hospital, recovering from a gunshot wound to his face. He was, prior to that, I believe, a patrolman on special assignment.
Oh, he was only a detective after that point, huh? But then he continued to work, right?
Not really.
Oh, he didn't. Oh, so he retired after
He was, he was
shot.
medically discharged due to his injuries. He had loss of hearing. He had some partial paralysis. So, yeah, he was unable to return to service.
All right. Have you stayed in touch with him through the years? I believe he lives in upstate New York.
He does, but he's a bit of a recluse. So no, I have not.
All the more remarkable that you got him to support you. That's, I guess, where your detective duties came in handy. You tracked him down and persuaded him at gunpoint, I believe, right?
No, by telephone, actually. But
all right. Well, that was probably easier. All right. So in the opening, we saw an encounter between a judge in Colorado and a guy who I don't know what he was going to be sentenced for, other than what he was sentenced for here. But he was in court for some reason, and he didn't want to take his hat off. And all right, am I right that you think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, or at least you don't think it's as important as I do? You don't seem to feel as strongly about it as I do.
Well, you seem to have a bizarre fascination with that issue. Maybe because you are a prolific hat wearer. I'm not sure, but I understand the intrigue of it, because it's not so much the hat; it's the idea of how much authority does a judge have on the bench to impose his will on others.
That is exactly right. And that's part of it. Also, it does have to do with me wearing a hat and my reason for it. I'm a little bit more sensitive and aware of what I think should be an obvious reason, but I don't know if anybody else is. Up until about 20 minutes ago, nobody in my life, either in my personal life or in my online encounters, took my side, that the one who's being outrageous here is the judge, not the kid with the hat. But my old friend, my longtime friend, Paul, called me a little while ago, and I was talking to him about it. He actually agrees with me. Nobody else does. All right, so you're right. Part of it, hold on. Why don't we show him before I give my little argument here. Let's show the part where he got sentenced. There's a little bit more back and forth between the judge beyond what we saw in the opening.
He is explained, and the court finds it to be completely incredible, having even changed his explanation after talking with his attorney, explained his heartfelt, that's with air quotes, reason for not removing his hat. I find it to be incredible, manipulative, and in direct contempt of the court. I find that it undermines the authority and undermines the dignity of the court. I find that he does so intentionally. Mr. Richmond, you're given the opportunity, and you can just stay right there, to tell me anything you want before I decide on the sentence or the direct contempt. If you want to say something, you may. If you don't, that's fine too.
I don't want to say much, but I mean, all there is to say that it's like a religion to me. It's personal. It's semi-parallel to what a lot of religions and cultures believe. And if I embellish too much, then that would be, I believe, wrong.
If you embellish, mean add more to it?
Yeah, like that is part of my belief.
Okay, I got it.
And that is part of, call it spiritual, religion, cultural. I don't care what you call it.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to call it anything. I will note that you are wearing a traditional black winter hat that shows no signs of any cultural or religious affiliation, nor have you identified any other than a personal belief that you would like to wear a hat to maintain power. Again, I don't find that to be persuasive, as I've already said. Court, again, finding the defendant to be in contempt, direct contempt of court. I'll sentence you to 1 day in the Boulder County Jail. I was considering longer, but I just need to communicate to you that you can't do this, so I don't want to keep you in jail longer. Plus, it's a snowy day, as you said. Perhaps it's not all that punitive based on what you said. So I'll sentence you to 1 day in the Boulder County Jail. Deputies, please.
Take him away to jail. I'm not sure. The guy might have been homeless because I'm trying to understand the comment he made that the judge made reference to about, oh, you're going to send me to jail when it's bitter cold outside. Like, I guess he was saying like that would be a good thing for him to be in a warm place. Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Although I'm not even quite sure. It's odd that the judge is so offended by him wearing the hat, but not offended by him sitting down addressing the court, where traditionally you have to stand up to address the judge.
Yeah.
And usually those go like hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, you see, you're making part of my argument for me now. It's just ridiculously arbitrary. And it doesn't have anything to do with the intent of the behatted person. I'm going to be using the word behatted here while I make my argument. It's an underused adjective, by the way. Behatted. Yeah. Have you ever said that word ever in your whole life? Behatted?
Never have I. No, not once.
I was trying to think, how do I refer to concisely to the person who is wearing a hat? And that is the behatted person. Okay. All right. Now, unlike, say, an act of violence, which is inherently, you might even say intrinsically malicious, bad, evil, except for maybe self-defense. You don't generally, say, oh, we're going to take the person's intent into consideration all that much. I mean, if I shoot you and say, oh, well, I didn't have any malice in my heart, that doesn't really matter. But as compared to that, what we're talking about here is wearing a hat. So, of course, what the person's intent means is quite important. And this judge is giving it zero weight. By the way, my whole rap here isn't even so much about this guy in particular. This is just what's prompting it. I don't think it should matter at all why somebody's wearing a hat. Just because they want to is enough. And I like this kid. Everybody else who was commenting was saying how disrespectful he is, and they're mocking him for saying it's cultural or spiritual or whatever. You know how I read that? He just feels comfortable wearing a hat, and he's not articulate or like somebody who knows the law well. He heard that judges let you do it if it's for religious reasons. And in his inarticulate way, he was just saying it's roughly equivalent. And I say, well, look at the way he was talking to the judge. That, to me, showed he was being respectful. He said, I don't want to embellish, meaning I don't want to lie to you. I don't want to lay it on too thick. I'm just telling you, I feel comfortable. He used the word powerful, which is a weird word, but he's inarticulate. That's not a crime to be inarticulate. And we all wear, not we all, but I'm wearing a very conspicuous hat today. A lot of my hats are more like berets, sort of, caps. You don't even notice them that much. But I wanted to wear a very conspicuous hat tonight as a show of support to the behatted population.
I think that would be classified as a fedora, no?
Yes, I think it would be, and it is.
Okay.
So, like I said, it should be just because you want to wear a hat without having to explain it. But think about this. Some people wear a hat, which, by the way, is sort of why I do, to conceal baldness, right? Now, it's not, what do they call it? Male pattern, natural baldness, I guess is the phrase. But in some cases, it's from a cancer treatment, chemotherapy. People feel, I'm not saying they should feel ashamed, but the fact is they don't want to be seen that way, and they cover up their head. There could be some kind of disfigurement or scar or something. I think that's why Miami Steve of Bruce Springsteen's band always wears a bandana. And I think it's why some people wear a wig or toupee, right? They don't like the way they don't like the way they look without it. So You're not going to say somebody's in contempt of court and being disrespectful for wearing a wig. Correct. A hat is just a wig that's not glued onto your head.
Correct. I mean, I was thinking when you brought up that point, the gentleman, was it Stevie Van Zandt? Is that who it is?
Yeah, that's the name of Springsteen's guitar.
Yeah, his character in The Sopranos always had a toupee.
Well, he's always in public anywhere wearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying,
and I think
there's all these different degrees or levels of what we put on our head, right? So a yarmulke, you're going to say, well, that's for religious reasons.
Yeah.
But you could make a claim. With somebody wearing a toupee, especially a very obvious toupee, that's a form of a hat to a degree. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I
So
understand.
you're warming up to my argument. I like
Well,
this.
I mean, I just think if you wanted to be, a legal analysis, I mean, there's all, there's hats and there's hats, and there's hats for vanity, and there's hats because of like you described, somebody has a condition, or
Yeah.
it makes them feel better about themselves.
Yeah, why isn't that enough?
Yeah.
People wear it's the other thing is it's not rare to wear a hat. I mean, I'm not saying everybody does, but you never would hear somebody saying, "I don't believe what I saw at the mall, Joe. I just got back. A guy was wearing a hat indoors." I mean, it's ordinary.
Right.
And when people wear their hats for whatever reason, outside of courts, nobody says it's disrespectful to anybody.
No,
So
not
why
to
would
focus on the Jewish faith, but many of the Hasidics, and I don't remember the various degrees of orthodoxy, but I mean, some of them traditionally wear a black brimmed hat, and they always have it out, like, and wear that in public.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
And so again, the difference between that and a yarmulke is, I think that's the right word for when they wear that very small.
The skull cap is called a yarmulke. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're starting to distinguish the degrees or levels of what is and what is not a hat, and when it becomes religious versus non-religious.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think that judges typically allow it if it's religious, but this kid was being honest. Okay, it's not a formal religion, but I sort of feel the same way as what he was saying.
Yeah. But the thing is, Jeff, at some point, especially in the courtroom, a line must be drawn somewhere at some time, because everyone wants everything to be these shades of gray where everything is allowed and everything is justifiable, everything is acceptable. And that's like the last frontier of, no, it's not. And I'm going to exercise my will, even though you feel it infringes upon your rights and privileges.
Yeah. Well, ironically, the judge is claiming it's disrespectful for the guy to wear a hat. But to me, it's 1,000 times more disrespectful the way the judge is treating him for just dressing the way he wants to. He's saying, it doesn't matter to me that you don't feel any contempt for me and that it's just your clothing preference. I am telling you that it's disrespectful and you have to go to jail and or pay a fine. That's pretty fucking disrespectful. There's a consequence there, and he's not giving him any respect as a person who should be allowed to dress as he wishes. Very disrespectful.
Well, he treated him very respectfully.
Well, in its tone of voice.
Yes. In his demeanor, in his tone. Yeah.
But to say, I'm talking about his assertion of authority, that was disrespectful. See, judges have enough authority as it is. They have a lot of authority. And you would think that since they have so much authority that's clearly legitimate, they wouldn't need to assert what's at least arguably illegitimate authority. It looks like he's on a power trip. Why not just ignore it?
What I think the defendant should do is the next time he goes into court, not wear a hat, but wear a black judge's robe.
Yeah, right. Which, by the way, that's the weird type of clothes. Basically, the judge is showing up as a transvestite.
But I would love to see
if I were a guy in a dress, I wouldn't mock somebody for wearing a hat. Would you?
I would love to see the reaction of a judge that if someone walked in wearing an actual judge's robe and went into the courtroom to address the court wearing it. I think it would be hysterical because
you've given me a good idea.
Authority to order him to remove his robe.
Well, that's the other thing. See, I don't think this has been tested too much, and I would like it to be tested as to really what the limit of the judge's authority is. Most of the people, as I say, have been siding with the judge. Well, it's disrespectful. The judge controls the court. The judge controls the court. And you just repeat that robotically. That to me is the same way of saying, well, I refuse to discuss with you whether there might be a limit on this authority.
But who do you think is going to make the ultimate decision on whether the judge is correct?
Another judge.
Right.
So, I guess what you're saying is they may all agree with each other, but I don't know. There might be a judge who doesn't. Why not? That doesn't sound too far-fetched to me.
Well, we'll wait and see for that day to come.
Since it really is the correct, since it really is the correct decision, you know.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that.
Well, I don't know who's even going to make. I poked around, not in prior to this show, or not immediately prior to it, but a little bit in the past. I poked around the internet, and there are a couple of little challenges, but not much in this.
I guess the thing is, nobody wants to make it that, the hill to die on, because.
Well, I do. I want to.
No, I understand. I understand you do. I know that that's always been an issue near and dear to your heart, and but I don't think the average defendant wants to increase his jeopardy by getting on the wrong side of the judge over something that minor.
Oh yeah, well, and even I was in that same frame of mind when I was in court after I got stabbed. I wasn't the defendant, but I wanted the judge, to rule as against the defendant and believe me. So I figured it wouldn't, I guess what was I, the witness, the victim? It wouldn't have done me any good to alienate the judge. But and that was my plan. I think I might have told you this before. That was my plan walking into court. But as it turned out, I actually forgot I had the hat on. I was planning to play by the rules.
Yep.
And sure enough, he tells me to take the hat off.
No, I worked for judges when I was in college, and if they looked in the gallery and saw somebody chewing gum, it would be, sheriff, have them spit their gum out or remove them from the court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And most people say, well, they can keep control in the court. Well, whatever. Maybe, I don't know how. I would think they certainly have a right, and it makes a lot of sense to prevent people from acting in a way that's distracting, right? Somebody's making noise or something like that.
I've had people reading a newspaper in their lap, and same thing. The judge noticed it. It's not all judges. Some judges had a much more tolerance for behavior than others. Others ran it like an old style classroom. And it's like, you paid attention, you didn't talk, you didn't read, newspapers or magazines while court was in session. And, of course, you stood up.
As if there aren't long, boring stretches in almost any court proceeding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you take your phones in now? You can take, right?
Well, I have no idea what the status is with that. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess you can't use it to record, but if can you look on it, look on the internet like I do every time I'm standing in line or waiting anywhere?
Yeah, fortunately, I've not been inside of a courtroom for some time, so I don't know and I'm sure it varies from federal courthouse to state courthouse and from state to state and local courthouses. Each, the presiding judge of that courthouse tends to set the informal rules, I'll say, and then everyone sort of follows along.
Right. All right. Well, I find you completely incredible, manipulative, and you're undermining my authority right now, and I am just going to throw a hissy fit.
And find you in direct contempt of court.
Direct. If it was indirect, I would tolerate it, but never direct. So do you remember, I forgot which of the attorneys we had on. I guess it might have been her attorney. When Tina Peters was sentenced, how the judge got on his high horse and started scolding her.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've got a little audio clip to remind folks.
So unprofessional.
You are no hero. You abused your position, and you're a charlatan.
All right. So that was a little piece of it. And I asked you, because you have been a court officer and have witnessed a lot of people being sentenced. And also, I guess it was Peter Tickton, her attorney, that was on it. He had been in court a lot too. I said, is that unusual for a judge to not just sentence somebody, but start scolding them and using these very insulting terms? And you both said, yes, very unusual. You remember that conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
All
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I have what I consider to be an example of a judge acting in that same improper way, but this one is even worse, in my opinion. Let's see if you agree.
There are no words.
Let me just explain. I'm sorry. This is a guy who's a serial killer. And so the judge is sentencing him and letting him have it with a few choice words.
Gigolo Beach, was that it, right? In Long Island?
Yeah, something like that, right? Okay. So it's not as if, he's sentencing him for an expired parking meter.
No, he's a serial killer, yeah.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, no question about it. So this is how he talks to him.
There are no words I can say. I am responsible for what was said in this room today. The words I would say have no meaning, and I'm going to leave it there at this time.
Speak up.
Mr. Human, as Mr. Tierney said, I know that you're sorry that you got caught. I assume that you're sorry for what you've done to your wife and children. Are you a little bit sorry for what you did to these poor innocent women? 8 women that you strangled to death? At least 8 that we know of? Are you at least a little bit sorry for that? Yes?
Yes, I am.
You know what? You've been described as a very big man. But you're a disgusting and despicable small man, if you're a man at all. And you're a coward. As a result of your plea of guilty to murder in the first...
All right, that's enough of him. Is that unprofessional or understandable given the terrible, depraved nature of this particular matter?
It sounds more like a victim's statement than a judge. And I understand, the depravity of the crimes, but I think it diminishes the court when they become so intimately involved and passionate in trying to demean this person. Is he worthy of it? Yeah. Is it the judge's role to do that? I don't think it is at that point. I mean, you're going to give him multiple consecutive life sentences. That I think now becomes judicial theater. And I wonder if them knowing, when I say them, the judges knowing that it's being televised and broadcast, if they do not elevate their emotion to play to the cameras.
Yeah. I mean, he may have a relative or somebody who was murdered or, some sort of thing that triggered his emotionalism. Somerville John says, I bet he has a daughter. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't want to defend a serial killer. I'm just saying.
No, but the thing is, the way the judges expect the public to act, I think the public also expects the judges to act in a certain way.
Right.
So,
what about when cops do interviews? You ever see them? There was one, I think we even played it, and the thought crossed my mind, but then I went on to something else, and I didn't ask you. I think it was and I've seen this before too, like a cop will be interviewed about what happened, and it'll speak in sort of insulting tones about what the person did and it's bad behavior and this and that. Is that the role of the police to be conducting interviews of that nature?
I've seen some of these sheriffs down south, usually Florida or somewhere down there, give these press conferences and make some very colorful observations, commentary that is unusual. Maybe under special circumstances, it's more appropriate, but I think you're better served by trying to keep it factual, leave the emotion aside as best you can. People can, understand if there's sexual abuse of a child or a homicide. I mean, they can be, make up their own mind on the character of the defendant without the police or a prosecutor sort of piling on and going above and beyond what is normal, I would say, or what's reasonable, I guess is better.
Right. All right. Well, we've seen plenty of, over the course of the 36 episodes we've done so far, we've seen plenty of shootings, and we've seen controversies. We've examined controversies involving police shootings. We've seen dogs involved in apprehending suspects. But up until now, we haven't seen the police shoot a dog. So buckle your seatbelts, people, because I know some people care more about dogs than even humans.
Is that going to be what we're going to be watching next? Because I don't know if I want to watch it.
Well, they judiciously didn't, edited the video in such a way that you don't see the gory part. But it just shows the circumstances up until that moment.
Gotcha.
All right?
Okay.
You can handle that?
I think I can.
You're a big, burly ex-cop. Come on. You've seen a lot.
With a terribly soft spot for all animals.
Yeah, all right. That's what I said. You see, dogs are bringing it to a whole new level. Even a big, burly, macho dude like you. All right, here we go. Close your eyes, everybody, if you can't handle this. But like I said, they didn't show the gory part.
Nearly a week after LAPD officers shot and killed a 2-year-old St. Bernard poodle mix in Canoga Park, the department has released body cam video of the shooting. That dog named Jameson was shot and killed after a neighbor called police when she heard a woman screaming from inside the apartment.
Those screams were later determined to be screams of joy after the New York Knicks won the NBA championship. KTLA's John Finolio is live in downtown LA with more on the new video and calls for justice. John?
Cher and Micah, some people will watch this footage and see a police officer making a split-second decision. Other people will see it and think a person's pet did not have to die. We have to warn you that this footage is extremely difficult to watch. The audio is just as jarring.
LAPD.
The body camera video begins with 2 LAPD officers arriving at an apartment in Canoga Park for what police say was a wellness check. They knock and announce their presence. A woman opens the door. Inside, Jameson, a St. Bernard poodle mix, is barking.
Hi. Oh, can you put your dog away?
Put your dog away, please. Put your dog away. Put your dog away.
Officers tell her to put her dog away. At least one of them has his gun drawn.
Dude.
Moments later, the door opens again. The woman tells officers her dog isn't aggressive. She appears calm and in no distress. Then, in a matter of seconds, Jameson moves out of the apartment and down the narrow hallway. An officer fires 4 times.
It's all good. It's all good. We're
not aggressive.
We've paused the video here because the rest is too graphic. More can be seen on LAPD's YouTube page. The video is edited by LAPD. They are showing selected clips, not the entire raw encounter, including this clip showing Jameson in slow motion. Police say he charged at one of the officers. This footage is from the other officer's body cam. We have blurred the end of the clip so you don't see Jameson being shot.
Is the dog put away?
Sorry, he's not aggressive.
Oh, he's huge. Put him in.
The LAPD released the video after days of public outrage, heartbreak, and demands for transparency.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I'll just start by saying that woman is largely at fault for not just simply closing the door. Not a very difficult thing to do, but apparently too difficult for her. Also, she said he's not aggressive, and the dog did charge at the officer. Now, I'm not saying that justifies the shooting, but it's a relevant part of the story. What's your take on it, Greg?
I mean, I feel terrible, but I don't blame the officer for doing what he did. Again, like other scenarios we looked at, you don't have to wait until you're being hurt to take some type of action. And unfortunately, this falls directly upon her. They made it clear to put the dog away. All she has to do is put him in the bedroom, close the door behind her, open the door to speak to the officers, close the door behind her. And
she didn't even have to put him in the bedroom. She just had to close the door. So that's it.
Well, I know. The only thing is what I don't like is the fact that all of a sudden the dog, somehow gets the door open while they're outside talking. I mean, they don't, she doesn't want to lock herself out. So sometimes she's not going to close the door all the way. Then the next thing you know, the dog noses the door open and still gets out. So I just think it's better. Put them in the bathroom, put them in the bedroom, whatever, close the door, walk outside, and the officers are out of there in like 30 seconds flat.
Yeah.
I've dealt with people before where the dog looks like, Cujo.
Your internet's freezing. Your internet just froze. So say that again, please.
Oh, okay. I said I've been on calls where people are saying, don't worry, he won't bite. He's not aggressive, and meanwhile the dog looks like Cujo with the bulging eyes and the slobber coming out of his mouth. And it's like, I don't care if you think he's not aggressive. He looks aggressive. I don't know this dog, and I don't want to go to the ER having to get, tetanus shots and rabies shots and sutures because I got to take your word on it that your dog is somehow not as aggressive as he looks to be. So I always will fault the owner if they do not have complete control over their dog or whatever animal it happens to be to make the other person feel safe.
Yeah. Is there any validity to saying, well, like as compared to like Stevie Jones, the guy in Hartford who had a knife, or anybody with a knife or a gun that could be fatal, as compared to that, it's almost unheard of for somebody to die because of a dog bite. So because the potential injury is not all that severe, could that be an argument that they shouldn't, that deadly force shouldn't be used?
No, not in my mind. No. Because like I said, do you want to have a disfiguring scar on your leg? Do you want to have to get possibly rabies shots over the next several weeks, tetanus shots, sutures, go back to get the wound treated, go back to get the sutures out because someone is careless and reckless enough and has such poor judgment that they don't have the brains to put the dog in another room to avoid this happening. So, the circumstances, the result is very sad. And of course, I had a dog. I love dogs, but no, my sympathies don't lie with the owner. They lie with the police officers. They would like to go home at the end of their shift like they went into work.
Right. It would be the ultimate injustice would be if somebody got bit by a dog on their head and there was some kind of disfigurement there as a result. And when it came time to go and testify in court about the matter, the judge wouldn't let the guy who got bit in his head wear a hat to cover it up.
Well, we had to go a little bit of a long way for that one to come around. Huh? That was not the shortcut. That was the long cut.
I'm going to be bringing up examples to bolster my point from now until the end of time.
I couldn't understand where that was going. I was thinking, what dog has ever bit someone on the head in an encounter?
It could happen. It could happen.
Of course, it could happen.
All right. I don't have any video of it, but I wanted to mention this because it's within your wheelhouse in particular, within your sphere of interest. You've talked about it. I know this case fascinated you. Some news in the Nancy Guthrie case. Yeah. You probably saw that because you probably have that in your Google alerts. Nancy Guthrie name comes up and you get a flurry of reports each time. So I guess for some reason they're saying that they got a communication from the kidnapper who said that he or she or they regret that she died. It wasn't their intent, but she died while they had her and blah, 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 blah. Why would somebody who committed kidnapping risk being caught by providing a possible trail of evidence? I mean, what would be the need to make such a communication?
I have no idea. This case has been bizarre from the start. It's a head scratcher. There seems to be no logic behind it. Or if there is, it's almost impossible to figure out. And I don't know if they thought in some way this would relieve the investigative efforts that are being made. I don't know why they would think that, but they haven't shown good reasoning or thinking throughout this entire thing. So that's
yeah. So somebody who would do this, you don't want to necessarily apply normal logic to somebody who would do that because they're not normal. Yeah.
Correct. I guess they got some confidence in the fact that they weren't revealed by the first ransom note. So I guess they felt if they used the same protocol for the second, it didn't increase or decrease their chances of being caught.
Yeah. It's making me think of these wacky 9/11 conspiracies. One of them being that the BBC reporter reported by mistake that Building 7 had collapsed before it actually collapsed. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
So the 9/11 kooks insist that's evidence that, they knew it was going to happen.
It's the fog of war. Is all it is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the most logical answer. It was chaotic. And they probably heard that it was in danger of collapsing, and it did collapse. So, but what I'm getting at is, to believe that theory, you would have to believe that the people who were clever enough to put together this plan that you're pushing with your conspiracy would have been so stupid as to unnecessarily tell the BBC about it.
Yeah.
Like, why? Yeah. Why there would be no need to tell the BBC about it, and then have it trickle down through underlings to the reporters in the field. And now everybody who works for the BBC is in on the scheme.
Correct. I mean, the conspiracy theorists are never at a loss to explain away any possibility. They always have a theory as to how their theory still is intact.
Yeah. We're just not going to get out of this whole 9/11 attack what we want out of it unless the BBC knows about Building 7 in advance. I mean, nothing will be worth it unless they know about it in advance.
Correct. Yeah. It's always, it's nonsense. Yeah.
All right. I just got all the 9/11 people mad at me again. All right. Let's finish with a lighter one here. This is somebody showing cops how to get out of handcuffs.
If you ever get locked up, this is all you gotta do. You gotta watch this. Bring it up like this, right? Then you bend this one here, right? After you bend this one here, see this arm right here, you pop it out just like this. Watch. Boom! Ooh! And you free, you know what I'm saying? Never get locked up again, y'all. Let's go!
All right, what's your comment on that?
It's a parlor trick. Who's gonna let somebody in the backseat of their car bring their arms up behind them over their head like that? They're supposed to be seat belted in. So right out of the gate, that trick isn't gonna fly. I mean, he thinks it's Harry Houdini, but it's
a gay Harry Houdini. What if
that might be Harriet Houdini, in fact.
What if you can't do that in a car, but if you're not in a car yet, maybe you could. All right, so
yes, but I mean that assumes the fact that nobody's watching this person whatsoever.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's true.
In custody means you have control of the person. It doesn't mean you handcuff them and then go off and do nothing and go to the next job.
Okay, so you have not yet said what some of the people in the comments where I saw this said, which is that these aren't regular handcuffs, or they aren't on as tight as they usually are.
Well, I can just tell from this angle that they're not regulation handcuffs because there's way too much space in between each wrist. The traditional cuff probably has three links of chain in between them. That one looks like it has 5 or 6.
Well, I don't know why you didn't mention it. That's like the strongest argument if you're going to say it's a parlor trick. It's not even real handcuffs.
Handcuffs is what they are.
What's that?
They're like magician handcuffs.
Right.
They look like handcuffs, but if you looked at them, you realize, well, these aren't conventional handcuffs. These are manufactured to be.
NYPD doesn't use magician's handcuffs.
They may have to now. It all depends.
There's one more observation I can't believe you didn't mention, and that is out of I think 1 female and 3 males, nobody has a man bun. We've been monitoring this lately. There seems to be a trend among New York police officers to fashion their hair in a man bun.
Well, unless you have misgendered the one of the people there, in which case somebody is wearing a bun, but she appears to be a female.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Females can wear man. We don't call them man buns though. If a female does it,
We call them honey buns.
no, we call them ma'am buns. M-A-apostrophe-A-M. Ma'am buns. All right, short show tonight. Next week, Nils Gravilius is going to be our guest. Don't miss it, folks. Those of you who saw the previous episode when he's on.
He is a character.
He is a character, very witty guy, great raconteur.
Yes.
And now his new book has just come out. It's a memoir story of his life and his career. So we're going to be talking to him next week. Join us for that. And then Thursday, that's next Tuesday. And then this Thursday, 2 nights from now on The Whiners, our guest will be Jason Smith, who is an American journalist based in China. That's Jason Smith, Thursday night at 7 p.m. What are you going to do with the rest of the night off? This is a short show for us. Pizza, hookers, what?
Yeah, no, I spent all my money on that already. So now I'm living a frugal lifestyle as penance.
There's always surfing the internet. All right, you the man, Greg. Love you to bits. Great doing the show with you. Thank you so much. Thanks to our beloved audience, and we'll see you next week. Toodles.
Good night.